a Season 2 Mortal Kombat 1 tier list. I purposely didn't do a tier list after the big balance patch because I thought maybe with the Season 2 release we would get another big patch. That didn't end up happening. The biggest thing NRS did was change Johnny's health and lowered it by 50, which is important. I'll talk about it when we get to Johnny. I think they could make one more change and Johnny no longer is top 1 in the game. Starting with Ashrah, we are going straight to S tier here. I actually think Ashrah is the second best character in the game. Everybody knows Ashrah is top 5. Some of you guys probably don't agree with me that she's top 2, but let me explain myself. It's not just the fact that Ashrah has lows and overheads, has great damage, and has plus frames. Well, it's kind of about the plus frames. It's the fact that every round, Ashrah sneakily chips you out for 25% of your health, so it feels like her combos are doing like 50% damage, because you look at the health bar all of a sudden and you're like, wow, when did I lose all that health? It's because you spend so much time blocking and making sure she doesn't hit you with those advantages and frames, and she plays probably the best neutral in the entire game that you don't realize how much she's actually taking from you. And yeah, lastly, along the lines with how good her neutral is, she can combo off her throw, which is really important. Only about half or less of the cast can actually do that. Her buttons are some of the longest reaching in the game. She has great normals that a lot of other characters cannot replicate. Oh yeah, and Ashrah fits in really well with the Combat League system where you can't switch your main character because yeah, she has some of the best matchups in the game too. She has a lot of 6-4s compared to a lot of other cast members. Next up we have Baraka, and poor Baraka fell out of the top 5. I know, Baraka, it must be sad. I feel for you. What's funny, at ECT before the patch, there were still very little Baraka players. Everyone that was playing Baraka kind of moved to Raiden, so he would have been at the bottom of top 5 if I made a tier list even before the patch came out. But his real issue is he's just nothing special. He's really good. He would be at the top of A. He still gets a great mid that launches. He has mix-ups with an overhead and low combo starter that does good damage. He still combos off of his throw, which is amazing. And he could still do the same combo routes he was doing before because up Cyrax still only costs half your cameo gauge. Next up, we have Geras, and Geras is going to the top of A for me. Geras' main strength is that he synergizes perfectly with Lao. Lao was already his best cameo before Cyrax got nerfed, so he gets an option selected launch into plus frames if it's blocked. So he can throw out that forward 4-4 all the time. On top of that, he gets great damage across the board, and then the main thing, it's the fact that Geras can spend 1 bar to get Breaker. And not only get Breaker, negate the damage he just took, and now it is his turn. It sucks. The next time you touch him, 25% damage you just did is getting erased. We saw Gur do it at ECT, and there were so many people that had no idea how to stop this character. I'm not saying he's top 5 or anything, but he's really solid. Definitely a top 10 character. Havik, I'm gonna go ahead and put Havik in B. I think Havik can work. The fact that Havik gets extra health is really good for him. I think without the extra health, he would be C. I actually should just delete this D tier. Let me delete it really quick. So yeah, the extra health is huge for Havik. He can be really oppressive. And the thing is, if you're going against a zoning character, Havik with Sub-Zero cameo is so good. With the extra health, he starts with the health lead, and depending on the cameo pick of the other player, he's starting with like 15 to 20% more health. So he just puts on the Sub-Zero shield all the time, and he can really be annoying. You have to work to get in over and over and over again. Mileena is a great example of a character who doesn't necessarily struggle, but it's not favorable for her compared to if I played Scorpion. She's gonna have to YOLO a whole bunch to get in, where Scorpion I could at least teleport cancel. It's just a pain to approach Havik when he's got that Sub-Zero cameo. Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is still top 1, so NRS has definitely put themselves in a position that they can make Johnny just simply top 5. Not easy top 1 like he currently is. Problem is, it would require a nerf to Kung Lao cameo, and the longer this game goes on, the less of a fan I am of actually nerfing too many things. Kung Lao cameo though is so incredibly strong, I don't think NRS has the time to buff up enough cameos to change the meta too drastically. So what I'm getting at here though is all of Johnny Cage's other good cameos take away 50 health. So Johnny would be rocking 900 health if he started with either Kano or Striker. Meanwhile, I can go ahead and choose Darius with Omni-Man and I get 1050 health. That is a 15% health advantage. So Johnny is definitely top 1. He gets everything in the game, especially with Liu cameo. That covers his only weakness, which is a projectile. He gets plus frames. He gets the overhead low mix. He gets a great mid. He gets 2 great mids. He gets a 9 frame that's special cancelable, and he gets a 10 frame that launches. He gets a fatal blow that does like 4 different interactions. He has a 1 frame parry move, so he can parry virtually everything in the game. Yeah, he got all the tools. On top of that, he gets hype meter. Like, NRS just said, throw the whole book at Johnny Cage, let him have it. Oh yeah, he gets a down 1 that is 6 frames. I don't think a single other character in the game has a 6 frame down 1, which makes certain moves punishable only against Johnny Cage. Kenshi. I think Kenshi is the 3rd best character in the game, but I think the reason you won't see as many Kenshis at pro tournaments is because he's too variable in how well he's playing. When Sento is out, the ghost at least, in Sento's stance is out, he is by far top 1. The problem is, when it's not out, he's probably just A tier, maybe low S, so it really is hard in a competitive setting to rely on your ghost to work out every single time. It's just a huge risk. I really don't know what they'll do about Kenshi because nobody likes blocking for like 20-25 seconds straight when ghost is out and then getting mixed inevitably into more block pressure. It's just really not fun to go against. The problem is, yeah, without ghost, the character's kind of just good to average. So we'll see. Kenshi's probably the only character in the game I could see down the line, like a year or so, NRS goes and reworks a little bit, solely because, yeah, I don't know. His playstyle is so fun for the player using him and just so boring for the player going against him when the ghost is on screen. But also, yeah, I don't want to be mean to the Kenshi players and be like, nerf ghost to the ground, because then he just needs a rework. The character would be really boring and not that great. When it comes to Kitana, I'm going to be putting Kitana in B, and it's kind of a struggle pick for me, and it's also always my most controversial one. You'll have some people calling Kitana A, some people calling Kitana C, some people calling Kitana B. It's all over the place, and so just know that tier lists are a subjective opinion. So I'm putting her B because on the average, I think she's super gimmicky and not that great. She has to spend all her resources, and if you're just patient and not in a rush to hit buttons against Kitana, she'll burn through her cameos, she'll burn through her meter, and she's not that great. But what is super good and what makes Kitana A tier is if you're a really, really good player and you time up the grab and the trap hitting on the exact same frame, it becomes a touch of death that it's like 100% damage. The only way to escape is to break the combo. At least I'm not sure if NRS patched this in the last one. I might have to check just to be sure, but that's what would make her A. The problem is online, that is so hard to do. Next up, we have Kung Lao, and Kung Lao is top 5 for sure, an S tier character. Even before the first big balance patch that nerfed Cyrax, after we watched Splash at ECT, it was so obvious that this character was definitely S. Yeah, Kung Lao is one of the few F neutral characters in this entire game, which is kind of crazy because most of the top tiers in MK11 were top tier because they were F neutral. In this, Kung Lao is one of the few. There are more F neutral cameos than there are characters. His recovery on dive kick is almost instant, so it's a mind game right away. He can poke. If you try and outpoke him, he's going to spend armor, you know? So he's going to go right through it and full combo launch you with Goro. So the jump in mind game is absolutely wild. His wake up is the best in the game. He can wake up full combo launch you with armor, and if it's blocked, he's granted plus frames. Next up, we have Li Mei, and Li Mei's going in B, which might surprise you because last time I had Li Mei in A. All the stuff I thought was oppressive from Li Mei when I made the last tier list like a month or so ago, it's kind of been figured out. You can just straight up jab interrupt her plus frames. The other problem she has is her best cameos are like Scorpion cameo and stuff where she can combo off her armored wake up. She can be interrupted on so many strings. She has an incredible amount of gaps. She does get that plus like 5, 6, or 7, but it has a gap that the fact that you can jab in between it is wild. I get a poke in between it or a flawless block to punish, No, you can just straight up use your stand 1-2 with like half the cast. She's just a solid character. I would say she is like the dead average character in this game. Next, we got Liu Kang, and Liu Kang is an easy A. Has always synergized best with Kung Lao cameo. He can combo off of his throw with Kung Lao cameo very, very easily and get whole tons of damage. He does whole tons of damage on his own. He can really zone people out if he wants to. His only real weakness is he doesn't get a mid, and NRS compensated for that by giving him the fastest jab string in the game. Liu Kang is just good. His only crime is that he's not the most interesting character to play. He can be interesting, and his combos are wild. I just think that's why we see less Liu Kangs, is because he's fairly simplistic. Makes sense. He's the protagonist of the game. A lot of casuals who only want to play story mode and then just get on for some casual matches are going to pick Liu Kang, so they made him simplistic. Next up, we have Mileena, and Mileena's A. I actually think Mileena is probably one of the hardest falling off characters. Remember in the first couple weeks of the game that in tournaments it was like 6 Mileenas in top 8? Well, she is most hurt by the damage nerfs, especially when it comes to her Scorpion cameo. It's better off just to use Lao at this point, is what I'm hearing from most of the top Mileenas, because she has mix-ups, right? But they're in the middle of her strings, so it's not like Baraka where she's walking up and you're getting mixed right away and can full combo. The big strength in the past was Scorpion cameo not only offered so much damage off all the touches and the YOLOs, you could also turn her forward 2-4 string, where the second hit hits low, into a mix-up with the overhead with Scorpion. Nitara, I am going to throw her at A for sure. Nitara is sneakily good this patch. Like, there's a shot she could hit S. The only thing holding her back is her health. So if NRS kept buffing her and gave her, say, even 950 or 1000 health, yeah, she would be S for sure. The reason she is so good is because Serena cameo is still the same, and I'm not even really saying Serena should be all that nerfed. The only change I would make to Serena cameo is if you down 3 her glaives or whatever don't fly back to her. They just go off screen and go away, because that's the only cheat part. You can't really take your turn back or anything like that. So if you took that away, still, Nitara would be very strong. So what she does is she backs up. She uses that crazy movement and just calls Serena's in over and over and over again. If she hits you or clips you by one of them, she's getting full combos, because again, she could travel across the screen right away. Then she could do fake pressure setups using Serena, where all of a sudden she can set up the blood sacrifice move and just heal herself or whatever it is, because that move got buffed up. It got buffed up a ton. I think it went to like 5 to 30 health or whatever. I'd have to check again. She's just really annoying to play with. The best thing to do against a Nitara Serena, you need to learn Sub-Zero cameo. It'll save you in the matchup, because right now, yeah, she's sneakily good. She could just time you out, make it really annoying, take her damage, and then run away the whole match. That's all she has to do. She gets really easy wins that way. Next we have Raiden, and Raiden is definitely the hardest one for me because Raiden is still really good. Putting him here in S, I don't think he's actually top 5. He'd be close. He still synergizes with Lao. With Goro, he has an insane mind game of using the low sweeping move where he hits low 3 times in a row. He can just essentially call in Goro for the low grab on you, because if you low block against Goro, he'll pick you up and throw you into the air for a full combo. So he can do that. He can still cancel into his electric bubble or whatever and cancel into Goro to keep himself safe. So think of this. He's going to go for low into electric sphere. He'll keep himself safe. If it hits, he'll get a launch. He's going to go into low, low electric sphere. Then he's going to do low, low, low. But then Goro gives him the mix-up that he's going to do low, low, low Goro grab, because you're waiting on the 3rd hit. Then sometimes he's going to do low Goro grab. It's just a really kind of cheesy mind game. So I still think the character is really strong, especially online, because it's hard to stand up block in time because you are knowing the low is about to hit you. So if the player is on Wi-Fi and you're at 100 ping, you might as well forget it. Rain, I'm gonna throw at S. Sonic Fox won ECT using Rain Only had to pull out Raiden or Johnny like once or twice. He's not quite as good as he was with Cyrax, but he essentially still has some of the exact same dirty setups. And if you've watched Sonic Fox recently playing with Rain and Kung Lao cameo, yeah, this character is still nuts. Definitely S tier. Reiko. Oh, Reiko's a tough call. He was definitely A before the first big patch. The problem is I felt like Reiko's big thing was his comeback potential. If you watched ECT, Rewind had like a top 8 set where he went 3-0 and once per match he got a 60% or 65% combo for a comeback. Like multiple times his opponent had him at like 5% health and the opponent had like 55% and Rewind robbed it. All 3 games of one set. That is just straight up cheese. It was crazy. I tweeted something like, I'm never, spending meter again against Reiko if, he's got, fatal. But with the damage nerfs, I'm just going to throw him in B. I think we'll wait and see. I really want to see if Rewind sticks to Reiko. Top of B, he's one that I think we got to wait and see on just a little bit more because his extreme comeback potential was crazy. He was the only character in the game that really had it. Reptile. Reptile's in B. He's not bad. He's not great. I mean, he's just really average. I'm sorry, Reptile mains. There's not even a lot to talk about. He hasn't changed at all since the first tier list. He's one of the few characters where nothing has really evolved all that much. Besides, he can cancel, back 2 into back forward 4, which is pretty nice. But yeah, if that's like the height of the mix-ups, it's just hard to say. I'm going to throw him at B. Nothing has really changed. Scorpion is going in C for me. The big issue is he gets less damage. He's kind of forced into playing Striker, so he loses some health. He only gets 950 health. Johnny Cage crushes him, and Johnny Cage being number 1 naturally makes it, so you're going to run into a whole bunch. Like, Johnny is probably the only character with a 7-3 matchup in the game, and it's versus Scorpion, because Scorpion has no way to use anything safe. Like back 3, the low sweep, unsafe against Johnny. Everything unsafe against Johnny. So against Johnny Cage, Scorpion can't use Striker because Johnny Cage can either parry through the spin move or he just low profiles the Striker nades that come after the spin to keep it safe. He needs help in terms of, I don't know, just some better frames would help him a lot. We saw Dragon's idea to buff him make his, launcher mid-mid, not mid-high. We've seen people say speed up is mid. We've seen give him plus frames after 2-1 on block, that is. None of that has happened yet. He just struggles, and the fact that Cyrax is gone really hurts this character a whole bunch. Shang is A. He's kind of underutilized right now. I really want to see somebody like Waz take Shang to something like Evo and compete, because he gets extra damage. So again, if you learned every character in the game, you could be a menace. This character has really good neutral. He can keep you spaced for a whole lot of time. I think he just can't go S solely for the fact that you need to be an expert of every character. So that's why I don't see him that often in Kombat League. And if you're not playing a common character, the opponent's going to struggle against you. Because again, this game, you can't switch mains once you're in the set. So it's a blind risk for all Shang Tsung players unless they've really put in the work. So we're going to keep him at A. Shao Kahn is going C for me. Now, in terms of fun, Shao Kahn is easily S. He is super, super fun. The problem is his axe pickup and being put on the ground literally has different frames for no reason. There's no rule to it. It's just inconsistent. Nobody knows why. He doesn't have enough. He's unsafe on too many things. He has to take a whole bunch of unnecessary risks, which compared to the other members of the cast that don't, he struggles. But again, in terms of fun, he's great. Shao needs some love. He started off C in MK11 and he's starting off MK1 and C. Let's make Shao top tier at least once. Let's just give him everything all of a sudden so we can see him in S. Sindel, this character is S for sure. Even without all the infinites, I swear Sindel breaks the game every other week. We'll probably find another one in another week. NetherRealm did go ahead and patch all the Jax ground pound things where there was no way to escape it. You had to break, essentially making it a touch of death. That's even worse than an infinite because the damage scaling resets. Yeah, so that stuff finally got patched out. Sindel is still really good. She has all the sauce in the world. She is oppressive. Her only weakness is she's technical to play and you're gonna get carpal tunnel learning it and just performing it. But watch Koizi stuff, watch Sonic Fox right now, who is, you know, picking up the character. She's strong. And as I said last time, Sindel, if you have never fought against her or never fought a good one or don't have a lot of experience, will feel like the best character in the game. She rolls casual players. She rolls new players. She's really a character you need matchup experience against. Next up is Smoke. And Smoke is definitely near the top of A. We saw, who was it go far? Was it Big Daddy G go like into top 6 using Smoke only? And the only reason he got knocked out against, who was it? King Gambler. King Gambler was using Johnny Cage. Literally only reason that King Gambler didn't lose is Big Daddy G dropped the Smoke combo. We were about to have a Smoke player in finals versus like Ninja Killa and Sonic Fox. That would have been insane. Character's definitely A. You just have to be really smart with him and really get the character down. But yeah, online especially, he's tricky to go against. Sub-Zero, C, do we even talk about it? Sub-Zero players have been the absolute most vocal in this game since the start about their character. I'm not going to dive too much into it. We've talked about it 1,000 times. Sub-Zero just needs a little bit of love in the next patch. Tanya. You know, it's like, do I think Tanya is better than any of the other B tier characters? And honestly, I think I would put her at the bottom of A. She's solid. I think she's matchup dependent though, and she has to work really, really hard. But there are some characters that kind of negate everything about her. That's the only problem. At least Cyrax got nerfed, because Cyrax made it so Tanya could literally do none of her strings. Cyrax could just be popped out and interrupt her every time. So she would have been B or C if that was still around, but we're going to put her in A. She's a weird character, probably like Kitana in the top 2 hardest to place on a tier list, and why you see the most variation with her. To complete the list, we'll talk about Omni-Man. I think Omni-Man is either top of A or bottom of S. Omni-Man gets plus frames on 1-2, and it's not even bad plus frames. It's +3. That is insane. He gets 2 different sets of mids, one being forward 4, which is 17 frame startups, and it crosses the whole screen, and forward 4-1 is launching. Then he gets a second launching mid that's faster, which pairs really, really well with not only Darius cameo for all the damage, but pairs really well with Omni-Man's +3, because you can backdash and then use back 1-1, and you catch so many people throwing out late pokes. You eat that poke for a full launch. His special moves are good. His overhead in the air isn't as good as we once thought, even though it's only -1, because you can't up block punish it. But special moves are still great, because you can just forward teleport, and I swear at range that thing is so good. I don't know what the recovery is, but I think Omni-Man has like a +1 advantage on that teleport. If not, it's 0-0. He eats your move so many times when he teleports right in your face. You have to down one, and you have to do it quickly. That or duck it, like if he goes for a high attack, you know, duck OS. He gets good damage. He can launch every which way. He's doing combos on you at all times. The only downside of Omni-Man is, yeah, he doesn't have a whole ton of combo variety. You want to use like Sonya cameo, Darius cameo, Scorpion cameo, Kung Lao cameo for competitive. He's a little narrowed down in that sense, but just really strong. Like, he's never unsafe unless you're playing him more like a casual would. I think they did the right thing. They didn't make too many annoying launches safe that would wreck people at the casual level, like his back forward 4 in the air. He dives across full screen overhead for a launch. Stuff like that is all punishable. Almost everything in the stance is punishable. You have to know what you're doing to truly keep everything pretty oppressive. I think right now, Omni-Man's in a great spot. I'm having a blast playing him, and I can't wait for Tremor to come out and try him with Tremor as well. Also, forward 3 is a nuts button. It's a quick low, and there's things you can do to keep it safe with Goro and things like that. Anyways, that's going to be my list for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you guys next time for either a Road to Rank 1 or a combo video tomorrow. See you later.